Alright, YouTube, I just wanted to show you a couple of my systems here. As you can see, obviously, it's a TurboGrafx 16, and this is actually my original TurboGrafx 16 from 1989 when it came out. And yeah, I was one of the suckers that bought one then. And although I really enjoy the system, and I even did when I was a kid too, so I can't complain much. But I'm not going to go into the system. You've all seen that enough on YouTube. I'm going to show you more about the modifications I've done to it. And to no ado, we'll start off here. First of all, on the side here, it's kind of hard to see, I added a S-Video port, which, yeah, it doesn't look like a standard S-Video port, but I had to use what I could, and that's what I had on hand, and works perfectly. And then took out the RF unit and replaced it with the S-Video port and a audio out. So it's an audio out in that little hole there where the switch used to be. And no region mod on this. You can. It's not hard. It's not hard to do, but it's not easy to do either. You have to. It's an 8-pin swap on the cartridge connector. And it's hard to find the 8-pole double throw switch, or you have to build a circuit board or buy a circuit board to do it. Either way can be done. Either way is particularly easy, but not the most difficult thing in the world either. The other thing I did is I backlit the TurboGrafx 16 logo. See if I can get my adapter here and plug it in for you. A second there. And hide the plug underneath that cover. I never understood that. Light off. I can block the light here a little bit. There you go. So just a little added touch to it. This is my own unit since a kid, so it's a little beat up. It's got some scratches. It's got some scalps. It's got some marks in the front here. I don't even know where they're from, but works like a champ. Alright, here we go. I was having a little bit of a technical difficulty there. About problem is solved. And let's see here. Since it's a small monitor, you probably can't tell just quite how nice it looks, but this is just running through S-Video. Now, S-Video on the TurboGrafx is a little bit of a caveat because you need to get true S-Video out, you need to disable composite. Which, as far as I'm concerned, isn't really a bad thing because composite is horrible anyways. And you're probably better off to get rid of it if you can. Ruins a little bit of convenience. And the fact that my TV I have over here is a 32-inch Vizio. It's a little bit older one. It only takes S-Video in and component, but it does not take RGB component. It takes the YPB, YPB-R version of component, and the TurboGrafx has no way of natively outputting that type of component signal. It can put it on an RGB signal, but not that type of signal. So most of the time I'm using S-Video anyway. So here we go with the S-Video, and you can see it just. I don't know if I can ever get that closer. Yeah, there you go. It's not too bad. You can see it's extremely sharp. There's no ghosting. There's no color bleeding, and this is off of a true S-Video output. So we're not trying to hack it together with a composite output, because again, the chip in these systems can output luminance and chroma, but it's already pre-mixed, almost coming out of the chip. It goes right into a mixer. So if you were to just tap your chroma signal right off of the composite, you get the luminance mixed in with it, and you have to use the capacitor to filter it out, and it just doesn't look as good, trust me. But you can see this is a pretty nice signal here. Let me throw in some R-type here. Block that light out a little bit. And let us cycle through the demo here. And I'll point out one of the things that you can tell right away if you have a good S-Video signal or not. Playing here in R-Type, You probably won't be able to see it on the screen. We shouldn't be able to see it at all if it doesn't have it. But the small lines in the background, if you just tap off the component for your chroma, they get a ghosting effect. You get like a rainbow effect while they scroll sideways on an angle and whatnot. And with a true S-Video like you have here, you don't get any of that effect at all. It's nice, smooth, no ghosting. I would say it's 99% of what RGB can do. Like I said, once you modify these systems for S-Video, their S-Video output is amazing. It really is. Some of the best S-Video I've seen come out of a system. And I would say in most instances, I don't see it to go much farther than that. S-Video is very easy to do with 3 components: the transistor, resistor, capacitor. If you're going to do it the way it would keep the composite, but if you're going to really, not composite, yeah, the composite. And if you're going to, but if you want to get rid of the composite and just go straight for S-Video, then it's 2 components: a resistor and a transistor. Some soldering, a little bit of wire, a jack, and you're ready to go. And like I said, you can see it's a beautiful signal. Looks great on my 32-inch TV. And these, like I said, these little monitors here, you can get these all the way up to, I think, about 20-inch, these monitors. So this is an 8-inch. And just for testing things out, and on my desk here and everything, they're great. They have all kinds of options on them. Have RGB input. They have the Y, YB, YG inputs. They have 2 A and B inputs: composite, S-Video, internal, external sync. Of course, you can underscan, and just adjustments for the red, green, and blue, the gain, the bias, all the other adjustments for aperture and brightness and chroma and phase and control. And you got a little speaker in it you can hook up and get some sound out of. All right, here's the next system. It's the cousin, not the cousin, but the brother or the sister of the TurboGrafx, the PC Engine. And I picked this up off of eBay from Japan for I think $34. It was pretty cheap. They're usually they're not that cheap to get. I don't know why. There should be millions of them made there. They're really popular there. And the other thing I never understand is I get these systems, and you can look at the picture, and it didn't look too bad. But by the time it got here, it was just filthy, absolutely filthy. Like, how can a video game system get that filthy? I mean, it looked like somebody had thrown it in the mud and then took it and then rinsed it off. And I mean, the inside wasn't that bad, but the case itself was just filthy. And I see multiple examples of that on eBay. And I said, what are these people in Japan doing to these systems? Because I never had a system get that filthy. You got to get dusty, but I mean, it was just like, dirt, crud. I don't understand it. I don't get it. But anyways, on with the system here. You see we're playing Final Soldier we got going in there. And again, this is another S-Video signal going in. And again, just a beautiful signal. Once again, it was modded, so there is no composite. But there are ways to get composite back. You can mix it back together after the output. So you could just make a special cable that'll mix that video back together. You'll have your composite back. And still have your good S-Video. But like I said, you can see here. That is really, really nice output. And just quality. Colors are bright, vibrant, no ghosting, no artifacts, nothing. And I kind of went all out on this one. Obviously, like I said, it's been modded for S-Video, and you can see like a kind of a cobble wires coming out of here. And the reason for that is because this is actually, flip it over here on its side, probably hard to see in the contrast, but it's got a 9-pin DIN connector on it. And what that allows for is I can get S-Video out, I can get audio out right and left, I can get, you could wire it up for power out if you wanted to, but I have RGB out also. So I have pretty much the best of both worlds here. And like I said, the RGB output, I really don't have anything that can use it properly at the moment. I mean, this monitor can't. But I don't sit around playing these games on an 8-inch monitor, so. But I tested on here. I use it for testing, and it does a wonderful job. What's neat is because you use a 9-pin DIN like this, and for RGB or S-Video, you can wire it up, and you can wire it up just like a Sega Genesis. So you can use a Genesis cable. So you don't have to make your own cable, nothing like that. You just plug in a standard Genesis cable, and you have RGB output. You can, I guess it would be a SCART cable because I haven't seen a Genesis to RGB RCA output. I don't know if there's Genesis S-Video cables. You could do that too. There probably isn't because I don't think the system natively put out any S-Video. I just rigged it up for myself. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to make a cable that's going to give me S-Video, RGB, audio out, and composite out. Everything in one cable. So there's not a TV in the world I couldn't hook it to. So it'll be really nice. And I also region modded this one. That's this little switch right here. And that was originally the channel selector switch. What you can see here, this is a Japanese game. Obviously from the backside. And I don't know if Final Soldier was ever released in the US or not. I don't believe it was, and that's a great little shooter. I'm a big fan of shoot 'em ups, as obviously. Here comes another one. Superstar Soldier again. And if you don't flip the switch, that's all you get is a pink screen. But I flip the switch here on the side, and number 2 is for the second region of the system, which would be the US. And Superstar Soldier. So there's not really a lot of reason to own the TurboGrafx because this will do both. But it's my original one, so I have no plans on selling it. And I like these systems. In fact, they're unique because they're so tiny. And I don't have a big hand, and I mean this thing is tiny. I put out a CD case here. If I get it out. And you can see that's about the same size as CD case. It's actually just a teeny bit skinnier in width. In height, obviously about 3 or 4 cases thick, but still, what a tiny system. So many great games and so much power for the time. Behemoth, the TurboGrafx, you wouldn't even know it's there. It just covers it up completely, and they're identical circuits on the inside. I never understood why this one had to be so big. I guess the idea was Americans like big stuff, which I never really found to be true, but whatever. It's pretty much identical. The connector in the back's a little bit different. It's got a metal connector on this one. The PC Engine, which I was surprised came with this little cover. It's just got a plastic connection. You really can't tell, but it's the same pin out. Everything's identical. And the system it's a little yellowed. I plan on trying to do a little retro bright or a hydrogen peroxide treatment to it. It's not overly bad, but you can tell the difference between the cartridge or the card and the system itself. So I'll give it a try. But a little more on the mod. You can't hook RGB straight out of the chip, the video chip in here, to the connector. It's unamplified. It's a very low signal. You might be able to see something on your TV. It's going to be very dark. Very dingy. Cranking up the brightness isn't going to help it. You have to build a little amplifier board. And there's a couple different ways you can build them. You can use an IC chip. You can use transistors. I use the IC chip. It's a little bit smaller. It's designed for video amplification. It's exactly what it's made for. And you can fit that in there. I usually try to build the RGB chip and the S-Video mod all on one board. So it's like a little video board that you can fit in there. And then the region mod is another board. And this thing is pretty, packed full. You're not going to find too much more room to add anything to it. Not there's much more you want to add. The controller I got with it, that's not a original PC Engine controller. That is a controller off of a Core Graphics 2. That's what came with the system, and I was actually kind of happy about that because it has the turbo switches on it, while the original PC Engine does not. And so I was happy I actually got that. But again, dirty, filthy. It just felt sticky. How do these systems get this dirty? I don't understand it. So the first thing I always do is take everything apart, clean it, blow it out, wash it. If the board's dirty, I'll go over the whole board with alcohol and clean it off. This one had a lot of flux on it, which is obviously not from any owner. That's from the factory. I guess they probably ran them through pretty quick and spit them out pretty quick. There's date on the inside of this one I noticed on the connector, 1987. So when that came out, I was 10 years old. So TurboGrafx was the heyday for me. When I was 12, 13 here when it came out, I had to have one. So I had one. And that's probably not too much else I can tell you about it. If you have any questions or want to know anything about the modification, just leave me a comment in the comment section. And if you like the video, subscribe. I'm going to try and do more of these kind of videos, a little bit more tech videos of modding and whatnot, and a little bit behind them and how it happens, what goes on. I do work on MVS systems. I consolize them and add video output and everything to the Neo Geo MVS. I work on old arcade boards. I fix old Galagas and Pac-Mans and the old Midway boards is kind of what I specialize in. And like I said, the MVS, the PC engines, pretty much any of the more modern consoles. I do the region modding for the Saturn. It's hard to find the chip nowadays, though, but you can find it online. I have that. Dreamcast, you got a VGA port, which puts out a really nice VGA signal. But a variety of things. So if you're interested in anything or have any questions about anything, just shoot me a comment and I'll try to get to you. Otherwise, keep on gaming.